every time, Hari Om, every time we read the Gita Dhyanam, I can't help but remember that Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayanim. That means through the 18 chapters, there's only one and one thing that we are learning about, and that tattva, that one essence that governs everything and that pervades everything, which is important to note, is that it pervades everything, living and non-living, is Advaita. Advaita means there is no duality. There is no this person and that person, this nation and that nation, this belief and my religion and their religion. These are all distinctions created by thought. There is no distinction. Advaita belief is the only belief that Sanatana Dharma is expostulating through the Granth that we are reading, and through all the Vedas also, of course. Now, we have talked about in 18th chapter, which is titled Moksha Sannyasa Yogo Namaha. Moksha, how can we reach moksha? And in the beginning of 18th chapter, Krishna has said that your karma itself is linked with moksha. How is karma linked to moksha? My karma I do according to my likes and dislikes. How can my moksha be dependent on it? Of course, the logic is irrevocable. The logic is indisputable as we go through the scriptures, and then we will see it. But as we proceed now from the 15th verse in the 18th chapter, we must understand that Bhagavan has taken a lot of effort to detail what is karma. If we do not understand what is karma, of course we think it's just action, outer action. That is at the gross, sthul level. But what is it that propels the action? What is it that motivates the action if I am unaware of it? And finally, what are my, from where does my desire for karma phala come? And also, where is all this karma leading me? These are questions if I have not asked myself and if I have not answered, then I am only living at the karta bhokta level. That means कर्म किया, उसका सुख या दुख जो भी भोग था वो भोग किया, and then continued existing. So that is there for all the creatures, karta bhokta. If I do not take the trouble to understand the nature of my karma and what is motivating it, can I change it? Is there a direction I can give it so that my karma itself can become the vehicle, the instrument for my moksha? And moksha simply means liberation from birth and death, which means I can be liberated from birth and death, the continuous cycle of Janma Maran Chakra, only if my karma has exhausted itself. Not even karma phala has exhausted itself. Now, exhausting this karma phala has become the big challenge for us who are seeking the ultimate truth and seeking liberation, or for all others, anyone who is seeking freedom from the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, this whole cycle of degradation and birth and pain, and then Janma again, and then death again, this whole cycle. For all seekers, understanding the exhausting of karma, all karma phal, is the full stop to Janma Maran. Big challenge for us, because we cannot discontinue any action. Of course not. That's not possible. We have been given proper senses, that is Indriya, and other faculties like mind and buddhi, and also the gross body and the sansar to interact with. Only a mood who would say that I am not going to act, because then I collect karma phala. And if I collect karma phala, I am going to do the bhog of it, and I have to go through all the experiences of sukha dukha again. Only a mood who would say that. So is there a more intelligent way to break this cycle? Yes, of course. We cannot stop work, we cannot not work, but like Duryodhan said to Draupadi when she said, see, I don't understand why Duryodhan, I'm talking about Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir had answered Draupadi when Draupadi said, Duryodhan has been durachari. He has acted from hunger for power and greed for status, and he hasn't seen whether it is the right thing to do for the praja, for the citizens, nor for his own cousins and family. And yet he enjoys a bigger army and probably success in the war. And Yudhishthir, you have been ousted from your own kingdom. So we saw this story the last time. So Yudhishthir said, Draupadi, I am not a sadachari for the lalach of a reward. मुझे उसकी लालच नहीं कि मुझे क्या रिवॉर्ड मिलेगा, उसका मैं सदाचारी रहूंगा तो मुझे शुभ लाभ होगा और सुख का भोग होगा. मैं सुख, लाभ और शुभ के लाभ के लालच में I cannot be a sadachari. Yudhishthir said, I am a sadachari. That means I stick to the path of dharma, satya, and dan and tap and yajna. We have seen all these in detail. Yes, tap, yajna, dan, dharma is the only way that we can act, truly act. And he said, I do all this not for any reward, but then what is my motivation? Because it needs to be done, full stop. I do not do it. I do all my dharma and yajna and tapa and dana, whatever is required of me for the welfare of others, for the sustenance of my family as a human being. Everything is done without consideration कि ये मेरे मन के अनुकूल है कि प्रतिकूल है, ये मेरे मन के मुताबिक है कि मन के मुताबिक नहीं है, और मुझे क्या इससे कष्ट होगा कि कष्ट नहीं होगा. Yudhishthir says, these are not my considerations at all in doing my dharma. If these were my considerations, then my mind would be distracted by my rag and dvesh, whether I like to do it or don't like to do it, and whether I am going to be rewarded, which is also a lalach of the mind. And then he says the very karma becomes contaminated. It's not pure shuddha karma if it is contaminated by any of these things, either the lalach for karma phal or for considering whether it is comfortable for me, convenient for me, anukul to me, whether I like it. These are not considerations. If something has to be done, it has to be done, full stop, with a samabuddhi. Samabuddhi means a buddhi which is not wavering between anger and resistance, or too much attraction and love and too much passion. No, there is no wavering in the mind. The buddhi is some, whether the task is difficult or not. The word difficult also is defined only by the mind. It has to be done, I do it. So Draupadi, when you say I am a sadachari and I have to go through the hardships of a forest life, those how many 12 years or 13 that they were in the forest, he said, yes, so be it. When dharma will have to take place, it will take place. When justice has to come, it will come. But right now what I need to do, I will do it, and I will do it with dhriti and samabuddhi. You see these words appear, these are the pillars of Bhagavad Gita. Dhriti, that is the forbearance and patience of or whatever is the situation facing us through prarabdha and whatever challenges thrown to us, because that is not in our control. That is all the domain of prarabdha. So you will see these concepts repeated in various ways through the Gita. It's a constant refrain, like a thread going through the whole scripture. Dhriti, forbearance, acceptance, and dhriti comes with acceptance anyway, and also the kind of samabuddhi which comes with acceptance. Sukh ho ya dukh ho, that is in the definition of my mind, क्योंकि मैंने पहले ही एक विजन बना लिया था कि ऐसा होगा तभी मैं सुखी होऊंगा. So with samabuddhi is the most important. So Yudhishthira said, in order to understand karma, I am not considering whether it is something I like or dislike, and therefore what kind of phal are you going to get? Naturally, in the 12th verse of 18th chapter, Bhagwan himself had said the phal will be anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividham karmanah phalam. अनिष्टम भी हो सकता है, इष्टम भी हो सकता है, समथिंग यू लाइक और डिसलाइक, और दोनों का मिक्सचर, मिश्रम. त्रिविधम कर्मणा फलम. आपको फल कैसे भी आ सकता है, दैट इज नॉट योर डोमेन ऑफ कंसिडरेशन एट ऑल, कि मुझे फल कैसा मिल रहा है. इट विल ऑलवेज बी मिक्स्ड or anistam, something you dislike or something you like a lot and you're elated by it. but that success or dhan or the conducive result or that relationship, whatever you feel is the ishtam result, is not going to last forever anyway. So just as karma is temporary, the phal is also temporary, isn't it? But we do karma which is temporary, which I take up a project which takes me 3 months and then I expect results to be permanent. No, I may get very good results and success in business or startup business, whatever, but who has guaranteed that that business is going to be permanent? There is no such claim made by anyone. It may not show a decline during my own lifetime. It may be after 3 generations. That has happened to so many of our families, where our grandparents had prosperous businesses or had practices as doctors or vets or whatever. Today we find that their mansions, the great grand mansions that they built with their success and their talent and their samarthya is in shambles. But the idea is whether you see it or you don't see it, but the phal is going to become destroyed. Is going to be destroyed. Therefore, anishtam or ishtam or mishram, whatever, the phal is temporary, your action is temporary. And now Bhagwan goes on to say, what is it that does the action? You say, मैं कर रहा हूँ, वो मैं कौन हूँ, वही नहीं पहचाना हमने. So Bhagwan has broken the whole process into very small steps to say, let's find out who is doing that action, and then we will realize suddenly that, oh, even the actor that I thought, that the one doing the action, the karma in the world for success and sukha and whatever, is also temporary. The actor is temporary, the karma is temporary. How can the karma phala be permanent? So let's understand through the words of Krishna himself as to what is it that actually does the action. In verse number 14, Bhagwan has of course started talking about this concept. This concept is adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham. Adhishtam, we talked about there are 5 actors that are actually doing the action. Yes, adhishthanam is the body. Without the body we cannot do any action. Now this body which is doing the action is also equipped with buddhi, because the buddhi will give it some kind of direction. And then of course we have the organs, and then the senses, indriya, and the last part is the sanskar. It is the sanskar which is the sukshma part of our motivator, the actor. We can't see it, we can't define it, we can't palpably touch it or mold it. Mold it in the sense in a sukshma form, yes. But in a physical form, sanskar is very, very sukshma. It is in the antahakaran and not visible to the senses or not perceptible. But it is doing all the direction. So if my sanskar is towards very, very tamasic, materialistic, body level attractions of sensations and pleasures and aram or whatever, that is at the body demand, body level has a lot of demand, then I will be at that tamasic level of sanskar, sanskritam, and so on, the same with rajasic and sattvic. So sanskar is driving me, okay. What are your instruments? Senses and indriya, and of course my body organ, because organs are needed for acting, and my buddhi and the body as a whole. 5 actors are there, Bhagwan has said. Vividhasya prithak cheshtaha daivam chaivatra panchamam. The word sanskar, which is the mental texture of our gunas, is not the word Bhagwan has used. He has used in the 14th verse the word daivam. Daivam meaning that there is one divine motivator which is actually pushing us towards our choice of action. Daivam. Alright. Now, just as Yudhishthir said, that the action that he does is not motivated by profit or loss or gain or मान या सम्मान या मेरा लाभ होगा कि अलाभ होगा, मेरी विजय होगी कि पराजय होगी. he says it's not motivated by this, which means what? Aphalakangshihi is the word that had been used in one of the earlier verses. Aphalakangshihi, akanksha phal ki nahi hai, but who or what is it that desires the phal? आकांक्षा फल की किसको होती है? नेचुरली बॉडी को नहीं होती, सेंसेस को नहीं होती, इंद्रियां वेरी जड़, तो देह को नहीं होती, बिकॉज देह इज ऑल्सो जड़. बुद्धि को भी नहीं होती. देयर इज समथिंग दैट द बुद्धि हैज क्रिएटेड. दैट बुद्धि हैज क्रिएटेड अ मॉन्स्टर कॉल्ड अहम. अहम कर्तोसी, आई एम द डूअर. That aham, which is a fragment or a construct of the buddhi, rises up and says, ye phal to mera hai, and this is the phal I desire. Now, aphalakangshihi simply means he is not going to eliminate deha, buddhi, or the senses, or the indriya, or the sanskar. We cannot eliminate it. It's been given to us. But we can eliminate the ego, which is actually saying कि मुझे ये फल चाहिए, वो नहीं चाहिए, मैं करता हूँ और मैं ही भोगता हूँ. That ego is a mental construct because there is no existence of this construct called aham, ego. It has come from the buddhi. So think about it. Aphalakangshihi means no ego, and no aham means no phal will attach. क्योंकि ego नहीं रहा तो फल किस चीज को अटैच होगा? फल मीन्स वेदर इट इज गुड और बैड, पाप और पुण्य, अब उसकी बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. पाप पुण्य जैसा भी फल होगा, इष्टम अनिष्टम मिश्रम, वो फल अटैच करने के लिए कुछ चाहिए. वो देह को तो नहीं अटैच होगा, बॉडी को, इंद्रियों को, या मन को, या बुद्धि को. इट विल अटैच ओनली इन दैट थ्रू द अहम. इट विल अटैच टू द अहम. And therefore that aham is going to direct my next action and say मुझे ये नहीं करना चाहिए या वो करना चाहिए. And that aham is going to create a deep impression in the antahakaran called the sanskar for the future. And that's how the sanskar which has come to us now has come from the past in the same manner. So our karma actually is driving us towards a lot which is shaping our destiny. We have seen that, but the logic is reinforced over and over and over again by Krishna to say, Arjun, don't miss this logic. अगर ये logic miss किया तो your vivek is not going to be there. Vivek meaning the ability to discriminate between सत and असत. ego तो मुझे बहुत ही सत लगता है. सत, why? Because it hurts. It hurts me when someone speaks badly, या किसी कांटे की तरह चुभता है if someone ignores me, or if someone has not put me on the invite list, or has cold shouldered me, or spoken badly about me, or said or not included me in their group. God knows what all. कौन सी चीजें कांटे की तरह चुभती है, हम देख सकते हैं. वो ego is the one demanding it. Body cannot demand such things. And not the mind, nor the buddhi. So the 5 participants of your action are only and only these: the deha, buddhi, senses, and your organs, of course, of action, and sanskar. Okay, having seen this, अगर हम कहेंगे कि अर्जुन इसके परे भी और कुछ बचता है क्या, तो अर्जुन भी सोच में पड़ जाएंगे कि मुझे तो जो दिखाई देता है वो है देह, all the 5 things that you have mentioned, and senses. I know senses because of the evidence of senses, and I can know the organs, of course, they are physically visible, and I can know the buddhi. I can't see, but I know कि मेरी बुद्धि में क्या चल रहा है, the decision making, etc. तो बुद्धि भी मैं जान सकता हूँ. संस्कार न मुझे दिखता है, लेकिन मैं उसको पहचान सकता हूँ थ्रू अनदर एविडेंस ऑफ गुण. गुण बाहर दिखाई देते हैं. गुण एज इन बिहेवियर, सात्विक, राजसिक और तामसिक. तो ये गुण सबके बाहर दिखाई देते हैं थ्रू द बिहेवियर, तो उसका एविडेंस भी मिल गया. तो अर्जुन सोच में पड़ेंगे यार, कहेंगे यस आई कैन सी ऑल दिस, एंड देयरफॉर अ बंडल ऑफ ऑल दिस पुट टुगेदर, दिस होल असेंबलेज इज द एक्टर. बट द क्वेश्चन अराइजेस, ये तो केवल देह, मन, बुद्धि, अहंकार का असेंबलेज है. You mean to say कि आप सिर्फ यही हैं? Who am I? Who is the actor? Who is that? हम इसमें से किसी को भी नहीं मान रहे हैं, तो इस पूरे assemblage को एक मशीन को मान रहे हैं कि yes, all these put together is the actor. लेकिन मैं कौन हूँ? Is there another factor beyond it? That is the main question in Vedanta. हम कहेंगे who am I अगर कोई पूछे तो मैं ये नाम हूँ, फला फला नाम हूँ और फला फला रूप हूँ, बस आपका अस्तित्व वहीं तक सीमित है, पर वो तो क्षीण हो रहा है, हर क्षण वो इट इज बिकमिंग डिसइंटीग्रेटिंग। मैं ये नाम हूँ, मैं ये रूप हूँ, बस उतने तक है अपना। अरे नहीं, मेरे नाम रूप के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं मेरे कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, मेरी पर्सनालिटी, मैं ये कर सकता हूँ, मेरी सामर्थ्य, मेरी स्फूर्ति, मेरे इतने सारे लक्षण हैं, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं। अच्छा, तो फिर आप उसी तक सीमित है, नाम गुण और लक्षण आप उसी तक सीमित है। Who are you is never a complete answer with us, because our body has never, not body, sorry, our buddhi has never wrapped itself around the completeness of our existence. हम अपने को एक फ्रैगमेंट्स में देखते हैं, मैं ये नाम हूँ, या मैं औधा हूँ, ये मेरा पोजीशन है, या मेरा नाम, कुल, देश, जाति, रिलीजन, धर्म, ये सब तो फ्रैगमेंट्स हैं। अच्छा नहीं, मैं उस पर्सनालिटी में जिसमें मैं रहता हूँ ना, विद दिस सामर्थ्य एंड द लक्षण एंड ऑल दैट, और नाम रूप, उसके कुछ सपने भी हैं और कुछ एस्पिरेशंस भी हैं, मैं वो हूँ। अच्छा, तो उसी तक सीमित है। We can never find the complete unless we follow the logic that all these things that we have mentioned, right from naam, roop, lakshan, sapne, aspirations, desires, ये सब उत्पन्न होने वाले और मिटने वाले हैं। सब उत्पन्न होंगे, सब मिटेंगे। And the basis of Vedanta is anything that rises and disintegrates is in the category of असत। हाँ, लेकिन मैं करता हूँ, तो फिर मेरे कर्तापन को कौन भोगता है एंड कौन जानता है? हाँ, नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज द राइट वन। जानता कौन है इस सबको? मेरी देह को, बुद्धि को, मन को। जानना मीनिंग विजिबिलिटी। ये इसकी विजिबिलिटी किसको है? So there has to be one more entity. बुद्धि के परे कुछ होगा तभी तो बुद्धि को पहचानेगा। बुद्धि cannot recognize itself. So that means there is another entity, and that is the one has called it by various names. In this case, we can say he is going to, in the ensuing verses, call it Kevalam. Kevalam means untouched and the only. There has to be one conscious principle that stands apart, that stands constant, that stands different and untouched and aloof, a karta, and yet is a witness, sakshi, to all that is going on, this drama of our life. मैं ये मन हूँ, ये बुद्धि हूँ, ये अहम हूँ, all right. Otherwise I will not know कि ये मेरी बुद्धि है, ये मेरा देह है, ये मेरा has to be, the visibility has to be with a sakshi or a witness, and that conscious principle never changes. Man, buddhi, ahankar and all that changes with the changing situations, but that conscious principle cannot change. If this is understood, we have come out of this of murta, of delusion. That is the one thing that Bhagwan has emphasized over and over again. So he says these are the 5 organs of your participants, let's call it, participants of your action, and you do action through these. That's what is mentioned in verse number 15. Now, what about all the birds and the bees and the flowers and the all the trees? Yes, they also give forth leaves and fruit, and then they disintegrate, and then they give shade, and they give fruit, and then they disintegrate again, and they give seeds. And the birds and the bees and all other creatures, are they doing karma? Of course they are doing, because they have an existence, and so they are doing karma. Is the karma phala attaching to them? That's the question. No, because they are doing it without phal akanksha. Okay, so Karma phal akankshi is the only one who will get the phal of sukha dukha. If you are doing it without akanksha, as Yudhishthir said, that it has to be done. Okay, the river has to flow, it will flow. It has to flow towards the ocean. It cannot flow towards the desert. Even if you turn its face towards the desert, it will find a way to wind back around a mountain, around some rocks, maybe it will even go underground. But it knows it will just, ये तो बहुत एक्शन है ना, कितना कर्म है, कितना इसमें चेष्टा है, कितनी इसमें प्रतिक्रिया है. But all that action does not attach a karma phala, because they are doing it without an ego. It has to be done, so it has to be done. It is their nature, so it has to be done. But मैं अपना स्वभाव अगर जान लूँ ना कि मैं केवलम हूँ, I am that conscious principle, मेरा स्वभाव केवल वही है, then all the outer action is not going to disturb me. That's the whole idea. So ये जो कर्तव्य का अभिमान है ना, कर्तव्याभिमान, ये that is what has to be halted, and that can be halted only when there is halting to the aham. When the aham has stopped being, aham is also very sukshma, when it has stopped becoming a monster driving us. और ये अहम को कौन मिटा सकता है? कौन सा ग्रंथ? Any ग्रंथ? A book physically is just printed matter, ink and paper. It cannot destroy and decimate my aham. No matter मैं कितनी बार भी ये ग्रंथ पढ़ूं, a granth cannot decimate my aham. Guru, to some extent, he will try his best from outside. Because this aham is inward, it is antahakaran. Even a guru cannot decimate, destroy it. Na guru, na granth cannot slice it. Only and only I, as a karta in this world, becoming very, very aware and conscious of my actions and the result of my actions and the motivation and motive for my action. मैं ये कर्म क्यों कर रहा हूँ? And what is my motive? Is it शुभ की इच्छा, सुख की इच्छा, और किसी का अनिष्ट हो जाए, किसी को मैं नीचा दिखा लूँ, इसकी इच्छा? That's a tamasic kind of desire. Anyway, it can be any desire. But am I aware of it? Am I at all aware of what is driving me? Only I can become aware of the motivations of my karma, my action, and therefore only I can change the course of my karma phala by changing the motive with which I do action. What is Yudhishthir's motive? We must keep remembering. He said, I don't have a motive. I do karma because it is required of me. If I am a pandit, my karma is to conduct the ceremonies, and I do it without likes and dislikes. मुझे ये देश पसंद है, वो परिवार पसंद है, वो मुझे अच्छे से ट्रीट करते हैं, मैं वही करूँगा, इनके यहाँ नहीं करूँगा. No, it is an ability and task which is being bestowed upon him, and he has to do it. So be it. The likes and dislikes cannot drive him, otherwise karma phal will attach. Now, that means I am doing action in this world only for sukh, and not only I, everyone. The person who goes out to murder or the person who goes out to get a divorce is doing it for his sukh, कि मैं इसको मार डालूंगा या इससे मैं अलग हो जाऊंगा तो मुझे तो सुख मिलेगा. Actually end product क्या है? सुख. वो सुख की लालसा के लिए ही whatever the action. So also with shopping or excessive traveling or drinking or going to the pubs, or the idea is for everyone, doesn't matter what the action is, everyone is seeking sukha at the end of it. Happiness is the end product. Even the one who commits suicide says कि मैं इस दुख का अंत करना चाहता हूँ. That means दुख का अंत means sukha. So every action is driven only and only by a lalsa for sukha. We must remember that. And we don't realize our swabhava by nature is Satchit Anand, which means the source of the sukha is in us and not in objects or situations outside. And therefore, the seeking of the sukha outside limits us to the sukha from that object. Now, when the karma phal is attaching to me, It is attaching to the personality that I have developed. How? Through chasing this or that. For example, what is the nature of the untrained mind? The untrained mind who does not recognize why am I attracted or repulsed by certain things, and suppose I'm attracted by drinking or pubs or traveling or conviviality or too much of socializing, extrovertedness, or even satsang, shastra vasana, we saw last time. Shastra vasana bhi ek tarah ki vasana hai, lalsa hai, although it's at the sattvic level. All this is now shaping my personality. Let's see, verse number 16. Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tu yaha. The agent of action does not realize that I kevalam is unconditioned by all the action that is going on outside. Okay? Pashyatya krita buddhitvat nasapashyati durmatihi. Durmatihi, a perverted mind. Only an untrained understanding or an untrained mind will not be able to see कि इन सब कर्ता जो मेरा body, मन, बुद्धि, senses, which are interacting with the situations and people outside, all these are unattached to Kevalam, or let's say Kevalam, the conscious principle is unattached to it. He does not see this, that the real मेरा जो स्वरूप है, स्वयं स्वरूप जो है वो इन सबसे attached नहीं है. It's so difficult to understand because it's like saying कि peel off your skin, but we think that skin is me. मैं उसको peel off कैसे करूँ? इतना closely we are associated it with our self, our body. Saying नहीं, that's not you. दुर्मतिहि, only a perverted mind will say कि हाँ मैं करता हूँ क्योंकि देखो मेरे मन बुद्धि और क्षमता से मैंने ये सब किया है. Only a perverted mind, दुर्मतिहि, will think in such a way. In such a way meaning, I am the engine, I am the karta. It's like a JCB machine which is moving the earth, and huge portions of the earth mountains are moved by the JCB machine, and the machine begins to get a lot of aham, saying, see my samarthya, see my power, see my talent, see my naam, see my vaibhav, because I am able to do this. Now this machine is unable to see that behind the machine there is a driver, and in the presence of that driver only the machine is able to function. But हम कहते हैं ये functions तो मैं कर रहा हूँ. Without that driver, that conscious principle, no machine can function. And so also our own मन and buddhi and our organs, they cannot function. But ये aham attach कर लेते हैं, we are unable to see our conscious principle, which is our own swarup and that of Paramatma. And I am thinking right now that I am the doer, and because I am the doer, I own, मेरा ownership है किस पर? इसके फल पर. और ये फल जब हम, which is not conducive to what I imagine and not pleasing to me, it's not conducive, it's not anukul to me, then I say, I really don't like this fal. But then who is deciding? It's not even yours, but we take the ownership कि ये joys and sorrows and successes and climbing up the social ladder, they are mine. This kind of a thinking Bhagwan is called in this verse durmatihi, perverted mind, because इसमें विवेक नहीं है. विवेक यानी कि इन सब के पीछे एक conscious principle है. आप उसको देख नहीं सकते because your head is turned, the senses and the body are turned towards the world, like a torch. A torch cannot see its own battery, but the battery is powering it, नहीं तो उसमें से रोशनी ही नहीं निकलेगी. But the torch says, see how beautifully I can illumine the world, see my power, see मेरा तेज देखो, and the torch begins to get very ahankari. But the torch can only see in the front because it's facing the front. Our senses are only facing the world. हमारे senses जो हैं इंद्रियाँ, they have no capacity to involve themselves in our antahakaran to know our deep-seated motivation. So therefore that mind becomes very perverted, the one which is facing outside all the world, excessively outward facing. And so we think that ये जो हमारी मान प्रतिष्ठा, ये कीर्ति, यश, धन, ये सब जो हमने कमाया है ना, हमारा है, मेरा है, उसकी ओनरशिप जो हमारे पास आ जाती है ना, दैट इज एक्चुअली हम लोग को जकड़ लेती है. सो वी आर इन द ग्रिप ऑफ इट. इसीलिए वन टीचर मेड अ वेरी फनी कॉमेंट. ही सेड, इसीलिए यमराज को एक बफेलो को लेके आना पड़ता है, क्योंकि वो मरने वाला सोचता है कि जब मृत्यु आएगी तो मेरा सब कुछ छीन के ले जाएगी, मेरी मान प्रतिष्ठा और यश और धन, पुत्र, कीर्ति, सब कुछ छीन के ले जाएगी. इसलिए I will have to be dragged. I am not willing to give up all this. And so when I face death, I say, no, I don't want to give up. This is mine. मैंने कमाया है ये सब. And therefore, the funny comment was कि यमराज को बफेलो लेके आना पड़ता है कि आपको कम से कम खींच खाच के ले जाए, because you will be resisting. हम तो कहेंगे, no, I have earned this. How can I give up my पुत्र and my धन and my कुटुंब and my यश and my कीर्ति? बहुत मेहनत से कमाई है, तो वो बफेलो को खींच के ले जाना पड़ता है. So that, but we have to give it up anyway now, because we are reluctant. And ownership हमने अपनी कर ली है ना, कि ये सब हमने कमाया है, हमारी ओनरशिप है ये सब, और ये सब दुनिया की चीजें हैं. So the whole fault is in attaching too much to the karma and the karma phala as मैं और मेरा. ना मैं रहेगा ना मेरा रहेगा. इसलिए those who have already given up मैंपन, मेरापन, ममत्व, अहंकार, अहमता, जो पहले से गिव अप कर चुके हैं, मतलब जो विवेकी लोग हैं, जो ज्ञानी लोग हैं अपने दुनिया में, उनको तो फिर मृत्यु भी नहीं डरा सकती. बफेलो तो छोड़ो, यमराज will come, they will say happily, welcome to my home, let's have a cup of tea and proceed to Yamlok. They are not fearful of anything, because they are not fearful of losing the धन, प्रतिष्ठा, पुत्र, कुटुंब, जो भी चीज उन्होंने, वो सोचते हैं मकान, मैंशन, गाड़ियां, जो वो सोचते हैं मैंने मेहनत से कमाई और वो मेरी है, वो मेरापन जब है ही नहीं, तो what is the fear in losing it? There is no fear, because it is not yours. It has never been ours. It has never been ours. वो ये इतना समझ गया है वो कि वो मेरा था ही नहीं, मुझे दुनिया में मिला था, दुनिया में ही छोड़ के जाना है. So he has no fear of मृत्यु and he is detached anyway. तो वो detached रहता है, तो यमदूत और यमराज से या मृत्यु से या इस दुनिया में ही खोने से, पाने से, the sense of loss or gain does not make him fearful at all. जब हम fearful नहीं होंगे तो दुख कैसे अटैच करेगा? So our deliverance from dukkha and sorrow lies here in detachment. So we need no persuasion. I mean, not we. We are not the jnani people. So those who are jnani and viveki, they don't need any persuasion कि भैया ये सब छोड़ना है तुमको. एक दिन तो यमदूत आके ले ही जाएंगे, तो अभी छोड़ दो. अरे उनको persuasion लगता ही नहीं है. We are the people who need persuasion because we are unwilling to relinquish it. Moksha Sannyasa Yoga is the title of this chapter. Sannyas meaning to be able to renounce. Renounce what? Whatever you think is your ownership. ये body मेरा है, मेरा रंग, ये मेरा रूप, मेरे talent, मेरे प्रतिष्ठा, मेरा नाम, मेरा. But actually if we relinquish it, then there is no fear कि अच्छा आया और गया, प्रशंसा आई गई, okay, आदर आया, अगले दिन वही लोग अपमान भी कर सकते हैं, it's okay, it's up to the संसार, because neither of it is real. ना मान ना अपमान, दोनों real नहीं है. So that jnani person has no fear and no dukkha, and therefore he can remain samabuddhi. Samabuddhi becoming one of the pillars of Bhagavad Gita's message. Therefore we see in Spencer's biography of Mohandas Gandhiji, he says that the British found it very, very difficult to work with Gandhi. They were okay to work with other political leaders because Gandhi was the only one who could not be persuaded through anything. You know that the British were bestowing a lot of titles and name and land and property on those people who were supporting him, supporting the British. तो अगर हम ब्रिटिश का, जो हमारे ऊपर एक्चुअली विराजमान थे, they were actually what do you call it, they had conquered us and they were ruling over us. They were actually supported by many of our own people and politicians. Why? Because there was a lalsa कि हमको कुछ title. So Rai Sahab, what is this Rai Sahab? There are some people who say, oh, we belong to the royal family. आज भी कहते हैं कुछ लोग, रॉयल फैमिली कहाँ से हुए? अरे हमारा टाइटल हमारे ग्रैंडफादर, ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर को मिला था ना, राय साहब। किसने दिया था? ब्रिटिश ने दिया था। क्यों दिया था? इसी लालच में कि आप उनको सपोर्ट करेंगे, सो दैट दे कैन लूट एंड दे कैन मरॉड and exploit the country. So this whole cycle of gaining and losing, Gandhi had freed himself. He said, मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए. I want Swaraj. Finish. And that's my birthright. I don't want it from you. It's my birthright. It's the same thing with Vedanta. We don't look for our own Swarup from Grantha or Guru. It is my birthright and it is me. उसी तरह गांधी जी ने बोला, Swaraj is my birthright and it is mine anyway, whether you like it or not. But for me, for myself personally, I don't need anything from you. And therefore it was very hard to work with Gandhiji because he had relinquished all desires. So, Durmati is what? It's a kind of moha. Moha means delusion कि मैं करता हूँ. कर्ता भाव में क्या जुड़ जाता है? बंधन. बंधन कि अब मुझे ये कर्म फल चाहिए. If we are acting like Yudhishthir, all the actions that have to be limited to yajna, dan and tapa, making our professions and our duties, turning them into yajna, dan and tapa, transforming them into these three, then where is the possibility of karma phal attaching? And if there is no karma phal, where is the bandhan? So like Gandhiji, we can be free. So the question comes back to, are you the karta or are you just these 5 agents? ये 5 agents है ना, कि which Bhagwan has named, the body and the senses and etc. and the buddhi. Are you those agents? तो अगर वही है तो बस इतना ही है, बस वहीं तक सीमित है हमारा अस्तित्व. No, that cannot be, because I am vinashyatva avinashyat. Yantam, destructible and yet indestructible. Avinashyantam is my Swarup. This has been given through so much of logic that we need not even go through it again. Avinashyantam. How much of transformation we have seen in our situations around us, in relationships and people and the whole world, and in the wrinkles in our body and in the quality of our mind and buddhi and the very sickness and health and transformation of our body. We have seen transformation in everything that we have experienced. Who has experienced all this? That one experiencer which is unchanging. Through sickness, through old age, through youth. Once upon a time, I was just a small mass of flesh in the womb of my mother. Am I that? I have transformed into something else. Am I this? I am another piece of flesh, which of course is also transforming. So, the experiencer of all this has to be distinct, and that is my true Swarup. If I don't see it as distinct, we cannot have the vivek to be free from the bandhan of sukha and dukha, sorrow, and from fear, bhaya. So, what is ego? Ego is just a thought. It's a thought construct. It's a mistake, let's call it. Mistake of the mind. The mind has made a slight mistake कि ये ego तो मैं हूँ. And जब हम देखते हैं कि in deep sleep, where is that ego? अच्छा, never mind. If I think ego is too abstract a concept, let's ask another question. In deep sleep, my arm was hurting, my knee was hurting, and before I went to sleep. In my deep sleep, where was that hurt and that pain? Okay. Now, I felt insulted when somebody had said something quite awful about me. Where was that hurt, that slight, that apman that I felt? In my deep sleep, where was that apman? उसका location कहाँ था? Location. तो हम कहते हैं ना कि हम जागने पर हाँ याद आता है मेरा अपमान हुआ. Again I start feeling bad about it and feeling miserable and wretched and make my whole day worse about it. Okay, it's coming in the buddhi, fine. बट वेयर इज दैट बुद्धि इन द डीप स्लीप? वो उसका लोकेशन जो है ना, इतने सारे दुख जो हम जमा करके रखते हैं, दुख एंड अपमान एंड डिल्यूजन एंड डिप्रेशन एंड एवरीथिंग, वो है कहाँ? वेयर इज इट्स लोकेशन? डीप स्लीप में नहीं दिखता ना, या इन डीप समाधि और इन डीप मेडिटेशन नहीं दिखता, which means that it cannot be real, because what is real cannot disappear. What about the conscious principle? Conscious principle never disappeared, either in deep sleep or in waking or in dream state. It was there. It was the silent drashta, the witness, the sakshi principle. So I am pretty. Oh, how pretty I am. That thought, or I am too old, yaar. Where was that thought in deep sleep? In sleep, that thought also wasn't there. It's the buddhi, the thought, which carries on its waves, the crest, that ego principle. And ego is not a principle. A principle means siddhant. Ego तो कोई सिद्धांत ही नहीं है, वो तो एक mistake है. It is a delusion. It is an illusory construct of the mind. सिद्धांत नहीं कहेंगे उसको. So the mind says upon waking up, oh, I'm hurting so much, and I'm sensitive about this remark or that, and I have so much to do, and I'm burdened, and I'm infirm and old, or I'm not graceful enough, or I'm not charitable enough, or my family is not supportive enough. ये सब thoughts crowd करते हैं. When? In the waking state. In the waking state, we are allowing the mind and the buddhi to take over and crowd us, crowd our antahakaran with all this nonsense. In actuality, it does not exist. उसकी कोई सत्ता नहीं है. How do you know? Because it disappears. Anything that disappears cannot be real. So, I am hurting, or I am happy, or I am successful, or I am beautiful is occurring only in the thought level. And thought itself is illusory, it is temporary, it is non-existent. I can't say non-existent. It exists for a temporary period. It's not sat. So aham karoti is also not sat. मैं करता हूँ. That means I, the karta, is also not sat. It's temporary. Yes, okay. That means the karma is also not sat. And the karma phala, how can it be? So, whom does the karma phal attach to? It attaches to that entity whose antahkaran is now gathering the impressions as sanskar, कि मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, वो कर रहा हूँ. And in that sanskar, we are bound by a principle which says, okay, you have to be born again to take the bhog, take the experience of sukha, dukha of whatever actions you have done. Which means that if a karma phal has to be attached in my antahkaran, I have to come back to experience it. Yes, you are bound by it. So it's like the story of the Roman locksmith, and he was the best in the world, not only in Rome, in Italy, the best in the world. But when Rome was conquered and they were all taken captives, and the royal family and the citizens were all locked up, chained by the conquering nation, they were all locked up in a dungeon. And then everyone was distraught except this locksmith. He said, I am okay, I have confidence, see, I am the best locksmith in the world. There is not a single kind of lock that I cannot pick. So I am okay, let them go. After a while I am going to pick these locks on the chains and I will free everyone. So this locksmith was the only one who was confident. But do you know what happened? So he tried on day one and he said, okay, that's okay. And he tried again, and finally he realized one thing. Why can he not pick that lock? And he was the best in the world, the locksmith. He realized these locks, the very same locks in the city of Rome that they had used for chaining them, were the locks made by him. And he is the best in the world. So the locks which were created by him were so good that even he could not pick the lock and free himself. In the same way, हमसे कहते हैं, मुझे क्यों ये दुख मिल रहा है, मुझे इन दुखों से परे कौन ले जाएगा, कौन सा ग्रंथ, कौन सा गुरु, कौन से शिक्षा? Who? No one outside. We have created that lock ourselves. We are the best locksmiths for our own bandhan. And if it's created by us, then it's very, in this case, of course, the locksmith couldn't pick it. because he was the best in the world. And our own bandhan, we can break it only with our vivek. Our bandhan of karma phal, and our lalsa for sukh dukh which is driving us. All that bandhan can be unlocked, let's say, by our own effort. No other locksmith can come and do it. All these joys and pangs of sorrows and failures and frustrations of achievement, they are all part of Prakriti. Prakriti, why? Nature, why? Because they are done by the Karta, who is body, mind, intellect, which is also Prakriti. So Prakriti plus Prakriti equal to Prakriti. It cannot be the highest Sat. It has no Satta. So I am Atmanam Kevalam. This is said in verse number 16. Atmanam Kevalam tu yaha. I am only that conscious principle. And verse number 17 says, Yasya naham kritam bhavaha buddhiryasya na lipyate. He who is free of ahankar, yasya nahankrito bhavaha, free of ahankar, that notion, and who is free from the notion of ahankar, and buddhiryasya na lipyate, whose intelligence is not bound. Now he is not bound, he has understood. Then hatvapi sa imam lokan nahanti na nibadhyate. That person can never be bound, because in this case hatvapi na imam lokan, cannot be slain or bound. We have only one function in this world, and that is to perform our duties without the desire for phal. Only then we can exhaust and keep our karma sangraha, the accumulation of karma phal sangraha, account zero. So if we are collecting punya and papa, then both will be registered in our account book. Punya papa दोनों को भोगने के लिए आना पड़ेगा. So in verse number, let me just come to verse number 17. Yes, this whole matter assemblage of body mind has acted, and now it is waiting कि मुझे दुख नहीं, सुख कब मिलेगा, उसका enjoyment कब मिलेगा. And Bhagwan is only asking, the one who is yasya nahankrito bhava, the one who is free from this aham ka bondage, will say ki, who is this you? I want that. Who is that I thought? Is it the real me? No, I am just kevalam, untouched. I am Atma. So such a detached actor, the one who is acting in the world, any action, doesn't matter, will leave no cosmic footprint in the world. No cosmic footprint means no vasana, no sanskar, no impressions, and vasana, sanskar in some places has been used as the same thing. It's a deep impression of our gunas which we carry. But when will I reclaim my true nature? When will I reclaim my own swarupa? क्योंकि मेरे को हर स्वरूप में दिख रहा है कि अच्छा आप सात्विक हैं, आपने ऐसे ऐसे एक्शन किए हैं, या राजसिक हैं या तामसिक हैं, हर एक में स्वरूप, मुझे अपना स्वरूप नहीं दिखाई दे रहा. इट इज समथिंग एल्स. When I am beyond all these actions and keep my account of karma phal zero. बुद्धिर यस्य न लिप्यते, उससे हम अटैच नहीं है, लिप्यते. तो मेरे जो sorrows आते हैं ना, my family is neglecting me, my relationships and my people, my own people are against me, and so we must get rid of that maya mamatva. First of all, there is no such thing, it is illusory. So Khalil Gibran or Gibran, however you pronounce it, that poet, he used to say very beautifully that let the winds of heaven dance between the two trees which grow together but stand apart. He is talking about relationships. Sometimes our relationships cause us so much trauma and so much mental anguish for no reason at all. And he simply said, yes, these are in relationships, there are trees which grow together but they stand apart. So let the winds of heaven dance between them. So I think na lipyate is exemplified beautifully by Khalil Gibran over here. Na lipyate. So now you can see slowly what has Bhagwan started with. Earlier in the chapter he started with Karma Yoga. Now he slowly slipped into Sannyas Yoga. Sannyas Yoga meaning relinquish this, relinquish that. Relinquish what? Karma Phal. Sannyas means to give up, right? Give up what? Karma Phal. And give up another thing, Agyan. कि मैं ये हूँ, मैं ये I am this particular नाम रूप and actor. Give up that अज्ञान and give up the अहम. Actually अगर ज्ञान आ जाए ना तो अहम और कर्मफल दोनों नहीं रहते. That's why I think Shankaracharya in one place has said that only the ज्ञान आग्नि यानी ज्ञान की अग्नि एक ही और केवल एक ही चीज है that can burn out all our बंधन, bondage. Because Jnana Agni is the only one. But here, for the sake of elaboration, Bhagwan has said, give up karma phal, give up agyan, give up aham, मैं कर रहा हूँ, and only then you can be totally free. Now, what are these three things which are, in order to understand action, this action we have to know some more details. So verse number 19. Jnanam karma cha karta cha trividhai गुणभेदतः प्रोच्यते गुणसंख्याने यथावत् शृणुतान्यपि. Okay. So there is only knowledge of action, यानी कि something that I need to do. I have a knowledge, perception. Okay. ये मेरा perception है, मेरा belief है कि मुझे ऐसा करना चाहिए, मुझे ऐसी दुनिया चाहिए, मुझे ऐसा परिवार चाहिए, मुझे ऐसा सुख मिलना चाहिए. ये सब मेरे परसेप्शंस हैं इन द वर्ल्ड. तभी मैं सुखी रहूंगा. सो भगवान ने सेड दैट इज योर ज्ञान. इट इज योर परसेप्शन. इट इज नॉट द अल्टीमेट ज्ञान. प्लीज लेट्स नॉट मिस्टेक इट. एंड इस त्रिपुटी में तीन चीजें हैं. प्रोच्यते गुण संख्याने यथावत् शृणुतान्यपि. और उसमें फिर आता है कर्म. देन आई डू कर्म अकॉर्डिंग टू माई परसेप्शन. अगर मेरा एक परसेप्शन है कि इन्हीं चीजों से सुख मिलता है तो मेरे एक्शंस कर्म उसी तरह होंगे. और जो करता है, जो मैं करता हूँ, द एक्टर सो कॉल्ड, वो भी उसी तरीके का होगा. जैसा परसेप्शन वैसा कर्म वैसा करता. विच मीन्स व्हाट? इससे ये मालूम पड़ता है कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ I know that there is some influential politician who is coming to my locality, or he has got a very vast influence, a network of business people, and I am going to start my business, or I want certain things for my society and I want certain actions taken so that my society gets the benefits of the civil works done in that municipal corporation, whatever my desire. I will rush to the felicitation of this politician and I will say कि उनका आदर और सम्मान और उनकी प्रतिष्ठा और उनके लिए मैं भाग के जाऊंगा. क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे उसका इन्फ्लुएंस और उसका जो वैभव है उससे मुझे अट्रैक्शन है. मुझे लगता है कि मुझे भी ऐसा होना चाहिए so that I can be an influencer. Whatever my perception, मेरा कर्म वैसा होगा. और we'll come to the next part. कर्म वैसा हुआ. In the same way, in my locality, every year, there are people, there are swamis and there are Vedantic scholars who are coming from different parts of the world and they're holding talks. If I hear of any one of them on a certain day, are we ready? Am I ready to drop everything and rush to the felicitation? उनके आदर सम्मान और वैभव के लिए क्या मैं रश करता हूँ? हो सकता है. अगले दिन मैंने एडवर्टाइजमेंट देखा कि अरे ये तो नवरात्रि का सेल, दशहरा का सेल चल रहा है, तनिष्क के डायमंड्स इतने सस्ते मिल रहे हैं, इतने ऑफर्स हैं यहाँ पे, और ड्रेसेस और घाघरा और ज्वेलरी के ऑफर्स हैं. ये फेस्टिवल सीजन तो मुझे बहुत अट्रैक्टिव लगता है. आई विल रश टू द ओपनिंग ऑफ अ न्यू शॉप और अ रेस्टोरेंट और अ मॉल. ये चॉइस तो हमारी है ना कि हम इन तीन, मेरे पास चॉइस है क्योंकि दुनिया में सिचुएशंस हर तरह के मिलेंगे and they are always open and they are always there. But some kind of people will notice a few things, बाकी चीज उनको शायद notice ही ना हो, and they will be attracted and find out the things. How? Because of the kind of ज्ञान they have. ज्ञान means perception, not ultimate ज्ञान. Perception about the world. मुझे वो वेदांतिक सत्य सुनने की लालसा अगर बहुत सालों से है, कहीं ना कहीं से मुझे पता चल जाएगा कि ये स्वामी आ रहे हैं and I will rush to the felicitation. एक डायमंड का नेकलेस मैंने किसी पार्टी में देखा था, किसी के कंठ में, गले में, और मुझे लगा कि ये डिजाइन मुझे अब दिख गया है बहुत सालों बाद. आई एम रशिंग टू तनिष्क टुडे. What is driving me towards different actions? So the kind of perception I have कि मुझे इससे सुख मिलेगा या उससे मिलेगा या उससे, वो perception मैंने अपने लिए बनाया हुआ है. That's the thought level. उस perception के हिसाब से ही मेरे कर्म होंगे. Naturally, I will rush here or there to the mall or to the Swami Satsang, depending. वो मेरे कर्म होंगे. It will be in the same direction. And what about the karta? ये जो assemblage of mind, body, intellect assemblage है ना, कर्ता. त्रिपुटी में ये तीनों आते हैं, the perception and the karma and the karta. तो ये कर्ता का क्या होगा? ये भी उसी के रंग और शैडो में ढल जाएगा. किसके? जिस परसेप्शन, जिस रंग और ढंग के परसेप्शन में उसने वो कर्म किया है, रशिंग to get diamonds or to get knowledge or to get सात्विकता or to get influence, whatever, उसी के शैडो में उसका स्वभाव पनपेगा. That means we are coloring ourselves through the karma we do. The karma is colored by the perception we have. What is so difficult in this logic? Nothing, except one difficulty is there, and that is that we don't know in the flow of our life and our actions, we do not know that we are driven by this and we are following it willy-nilly without a thought. It's like sitting on a chariot and saying, let the horses drive me as and where they please. I'm okay with that. वो कभी ditch में गिरता है horse, वो कभी highway पे लेता है और कभी पहाड़ियों में चला जाता है. Irrespective, am I in command or not? Therefore, the त्रिपुटी में जो perception, कर्म और कर्ता का त्रिपुटी इसको कहते हैं, ये तीनों एक रंग में ढल जाते हैं, एक रंग में. And therefore we say कि ये सब तो हो रहा है, लेकिन ये किसको visible है? Who is able to see all this going on? तो मैं रथ में बैठ के horses को कहीं भी ले जाने के बजाय मैं बोलूं, अरे I am aware that this is happening and that awareness is me. Awareness नहीं होती तो मैं देख ही नहीं पाता. That awareness is me. इसलिए मैं जो हूँ, मैं constant हूँ, और ये कर्ता और ये perception, that is ज्ञान, कर्म and कर्ता, ये बदल रहे हैं, इनका डायरेक्शन भी बदल रहा है willy nilly in the world, but मैं, the one who can watch all this, who can observe all this, is constant at the moment of action, at the moment of perception, at the moment of sleep or dream or dhyan, doesn't matter. But through all action and through all our changing patterns of our swabhav, there is only one constant, and that constant through all our emotions and experiences is me, my original swabhav. Nothing in this world can touch it, change it, alter it or move it. मूव करेंगे तो कहाँ मूव करेंगे उसको? क्योंकि वो हर जगह तो वही है. वो आत्मा हर जगह है, हर में है, बाहर भी, अंदर भी, वस्तु में भी, व्यक्ति में भी, हर चीज में है. हाउ कैन आई मूव इट एंड वेयर? दैट इज द ओनली कांस्टेंट फैक्टर इन द वर्ल्ड एंड आई एम स्विमिंग इन इट. आई एम स्विमिंग इन दैट कांस्टेंट फैक्टर. सो इट्स लाइक द वेव व्हिच इज सेइंग, मैं उछल रहा हूँ, आई एम वैक्सिंग एंड वेनिंग. ओ मैं अब खत्म हो गया, ओ मैं अब ऊपर आ गया. It's the wave which is saying it. But wave के तरंग के उठने से न तो समुद्र में रत्ती मात्र भी कुछ उछाल आता है कि ओ मैं बहुत सुंदर ओशन हूँ. उसमें कोई there is no बढ़ोतरी, there is no addition to the ocean with the rising of the wave. And with the dying of the wave, there is not one iota of depletion in the ocean. That swabhav which is me, it has actually not added anything or detracted anything in my highest sukh, in my deepest dukh. Nothing is detracted, nothing is added to that swabhav, because it is the only swabhav. Ocean is the tattva, the essence. The essence of my existence cannot change. My perception action, my karma, and what I think is the karta will change with every outer action, and in that I will be heaving high and low through the tumultuous, turbulent emotions and experiences, and then I'll say ये संसार है क्या? कैसे समझ में आएगा? जब हम देख रहे हैं गलत तरफ, we are looking at the exterior. We have to look in the other opposite direction. हमारा स्वभाव क्या है? And we will see that it is so constant. वो समाधि या ध्यान में पता चलता है कि it just does not change or alter or move or get disturbed. It has no tarange. It is so constant and so still. In that complete stillness and silence, वो कहाँ से आई? That stillness and silence which we sometimes experience in deep dhyan hasn't come from outside. It hasn't come because I bought a new necklace or I felicitated some influential person or I met a swami or a guru or a jnani outside. No, it has to come only from the source. The very source of stillness and constancy and completeness and eternal nityata is me. उसी सोर्स में वापस जाने के लिए मुझे दुनिया से तो मुख मोड़ना पड़ेगा ना. And therefore this karta bhav comes when I am too much engaged in the extroverted world, too much with my senses, outward, because senses are outward. And therefore at some point we have to draw within. So the moral of the story, whatever we love, that is what we will become. If I love influence and power and prestige, I will become that by doing those kind of actions. If I love only material things and dikhava and adorning myself, I will become that kind of a materialistic person. I become what I love. So find out what are the things you love. And now Bhagwan is going to explain further. Next time we will take up that हमारे जो perceptions है ना, उनके भी गुण होते हैं, सात्विक, राजसिक, तामसिक, क्योंकि उन्हीं में से तो हमारे गुण आते हैं. So we will see that next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.